Welcome to Platos Cave. Coming to you from Australia, the land down under, for Revolution Radio on revolution.radio. That's right. Oh yeah. Station where all kinds of thoughts commingle and have, unholy children. Because that happens with thoughts, I'm sure. And if you like to, have a look at those unholy children, please do come and visit us often and frequently. More importantly, though, this is Listener Funded Radio. So if you can, please do support us. If you can't, tell people about the station. It's very helpful too. Very, very helpful. Very helpful. Because I'm not sure how long this can go on. This, I don't think we are on too many radars. But if you look at the general developments, who knows how much longer we can stay on the air. But if you can help us, that would be really, really, really good. Today is the 3rd of April, 2025. The 3rd of April, April 3. We're only a few hours away from Liberation Day. More about that later. You can catch the cave on the air, on the line, all the time, and on your smart device. Soon to be a wearable. So grab it up to listen anywhere or listen at home on a Grace Tabletop Digital Radio. But you know what? Archives are free, another good reason to donate if you can. And any kind of donation is good. Crypto or cash or whatever. Or like I said, tell people about the station. If times are tough and you can't spare a dollar, which can happen. Before we start broadcasting at you in anger, we would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land from which we broadcast, and for my colleague, Mr. Narara.
It's the Dark and John.
Sir. For myself here, Mr. Pemmelway, of course, the direct people that we like to pay respect to elders past, present, and future. Thank you very much for your indulgences. Yes, Dave, we're just a few hours from Liberation Day. How do we feel about that?
What's it going to matter? The Great Reset, who cares anyway? I'm worried more about my superannuation because of the stocks.
Did you check it?
Oh, I checked it yesterday and the day before that, and I just got my... there's a buyout from one company who's now just rolled over the top of my one. It used to be an industry fund, and they've just put their hands in the air and walked away from it and been taken over. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It used to be an industry fund. Therefore, their fees were minimal, and it was a non-profit. And now
yeah.
It's a wildly profitable company that's coming in just to 86 everyone and take on the money.
See, that's what you need. We got 86 more people.
Yeah, that's right.
Give me a rump.
So that's bad because our stock market's fallen bad. Anywhere, depending on the stock, between 5 and 7%, and 12% in the month. So, month today. No, 30 days back. So, I'm not sure it's going to be fun times. I did hear a positive... so that's my way of saying, oh, buckle up, because it's going to get bumpy. The thing that I heard that was kind of good is that we've got like some of the lowest tariffs that according to the sheet, and I do have I've got a card, but I couldn't get to the full run of it all because oddly everyone has a paywall now on news, and in Australia the abc.net.au, which is a little left-leaning, to be honest with you, it's, we're not as bad. Our gas that we sell for almost a loss. We sell gas. It was a tremendous contract to Japan for our gas, and sadly that was done at a time when gas was extremely cheap. Didn't matter. Now it's extremely expensive to purchase it, and the contract didn't have commercial value as the price of gas. It was locked in at this ridiculously cheap rate. Now we sell it to Japan, who on-sells a great portion of it, enough to pay for everything that they've bought, and get their gas for free. Oh, it's magical. So, where does that leave us? My example there is interesting because I saw Trump talking about Australia won't buy our beef.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
That could be. That could be. Well, actually, that's less of a problem now.
No. I'm getting there. So, they're not buying our beef. So tariffing our beef is interesting because our market has decided, well, if we're not going to import anymore now, so you can get that out off your table, right? And that means there's more opportunity now for us to sell it locally, which is tremendous for us. And the market, the people in the beef trade in Australia, I saw an interview with one of the persons, and they said that they were really looking forward to this opportunity now to be able to sell more to the local market.
Actually,
and to find extra markets around the world, because I think this is like the great randomizer. We thought we had some stability in the market. Everyone's going to be, we've all got our players. This gentleman's game we mentioned on Tuesday. I think it's all changed. It's all going to be a reshuffle, and we're going to see what comes out of it. I think it's going to be interesting. And hopefully we don't, as a consumer ourselves, start to get even harder and pushed into a corner from our cost of living crisis, which we really are having a very hard time. I was having a conversation, the last point, I was having a conversation with a mate of mine today who says that he was just up in Queensland, he was talking to someone up there, and they said that the police, because of an interaction they had with the police, a kind one, don't get me wrong, love the police, they've got it, we need them, imagine if they weren't here, right? So the police force are seeing in Queensland a higher rate of domestic violence, and the core of that violence, the increased violence, is the trouble with money. And this is one of those things that is not going through the media, it's not coming out. It is, you talk to the right people, you get the right information. And I don't think, certainly leading up to an election, does anyone want to have that cat out of the bag. I'm sure that we're in a recession. I'm sure. And I think, and this is my view and I'm handing you the mic, I think it's quite likely we could go into a depression. Not just the US, I'm talking Australia and half the other countries in the world. And because we can't afford the tariffs, no one could afford to pay anything like what's on the board in front of me here. He says, China was tariffing the US at 67%, so he's going to do 34% against China. I'm not going to read all the numbers. You can see them on the screen. I'm sure there's a table somewhere that lists them all. If anyone, anywhere, is affected by this, I'll tell you who isn't affected by it, Mickey, and I'm going to hand you the mic. Who do you think is not affected by tariffs at all?
The people that are living in the country the tariffs are against. So, and of
the
course,
wealthy was the correct answer.
Well, look, there's so many things you just said.
I know. It was a list.
What I come back to, though, and then I'll go through it methodically. What I was talking about, that we don't have a problem with the beef industry at the moment, is because we lost tens of thousands of head of beef, of cattle, in the massive floods. So
that's right.
Think Victoria is about the size of, I guess, Southern Europe, so Spain, Italy, Portugal, probably chunks of France. That's about the size of Victoria. That's what's flooded right now. in Queensland, and they've lost tens of thousands of heads of cattle. So the I guess America's unwillingness to buy, or rather, well, see, let me unpack this for a second. So Trump said reciprocal, like for like. We don't put tariffs on American beef. Okay, we don't allow American beef into Australia at all because of biosecurity reasons.
Mm-hmm.
When the world's I guess livestock got sick, like swine flu or whatever, whatever have you, mad cow disease, Australia was not touched by it.
Mm-hmm.
We had the only pork in the world that wasn't affected by the swine flu recently. Okay, so when he says like for like, he doesn't mean he will put tariffs on Australian beef. It means he will not allow Australian beef into America. Now that's about a $3 billion loss for Australia if that were to happen, right? If you saw like for like, now we're not going to allow we're not going to allow Australian beef into America because you don't allow our beef into your country. Well, we don't allow your beef into our country because it's biosecurity. I mean, when I go overseas, and Dave's saying, there's a lot of stuff we can't bring back to Australia.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because of biosecurity. Because we are very far away. We don't have a lot of the pests that other countries have, right? And if we let everybody in, we would decimate our native fauna and flora, as well as our livestock. Because the livestock that we have here now for 200 years hasn't really been exposed to any of the other diseases from other continents. So that's right. One. So if that were to happen, that would hurt us badly. The violence, see, there have been a lot of studies done, right? The number one reason for domestic violence, irrespective when or how or what, it's always money. It is always money, right? That's the number one reason. There are other reasons, but the number one reason for domestic violence historically, and I remember studying this at uni as part of my political sciences degree, and this goes back 30 years now, right? So it's always been financial stress, financial difficulties. When people are realizing, oh, geez, I can't afford this, I can't afford that, I don't make enough money. How come you're spending all this money on whatever? That's how these arguments start. How come you have to spend money on this, that, and the other, and all of a sudden, you have a fight on your hands. And then the other thing with tariffs. So you're right, of course, tariffs leave the billionaire class, the parasite class, completely untouched. If you're wealthy, your life will not be affected. You might have to pay more for things, right, like everybody else, but you know what? You can afford it. So who cares ultimately, right? If it doesn't hurt you, and this is really about hurting people, then you just okay. I don't know, what would you like? Maybe you like French wine, right? Whatever. Maybe you like that. And Trump says, 1,000% tariff on French wine. Now, a person that drinks French wine in the first place is not someone I would say is struggling. Okay, so I think that would be okay. But even other normal goods could be affected this way. The problem is this, though. The tariffs are not levied against the countries. Sorry, let me rephrase this. The tariffs are not paid for by Germany. Let's say Trump puts 20% tariffs on German cheese. Sure, whatever. I'm just an example. German cheese. Okay, so a kilo of German cheese used to cost $10 in America, and it's great cheese, and people love it. They want more of it. Cheese, yeah, hurrah! Now, when the tariffs come down, so 20%, right? So the Germans, they'll still make their cheese, and it'll cost them the same to make the cheese, right, in Germany, right? And it'll go out the same way. But the person in America that is importing, the cheese, which is an American company normally, right? They bring it in, okay? So they have a whole container full of German cheese. It gets shipped via the ocean. It arrives in New York, let's say, gets unloaded. It goes into customs, into the clearance area, right? I know this because my father was an import-export. And it sits there until it's cleared by customs, right? At that time, while it sits there, the customs officials, they look at, what kind of duties on this. Or is there any duty on it? Or like you have to figure out, what kind of taxes you have to pay, etc., etc.
I've had to pay duty on stuff that I've bought from overseas.
Yeah. That's normal. That's what happens with everything you import. It's just normal. Mm-hmm. If you're the importer of record, that's important. If you're the importer of record, you are liable to pay. Okay, so the $10 German cheese is now costing the importer $12 because he had to pay $10 to the Germans. Then he had to get it shipped, right? And that cost money. And now he has to pay an extra $2 on top of the $10 plus the shipping, etc. So that $2 is a real cost to that importer. Now the importer is not a humanitarian, right? Oh, maybe he is, but he's in business to make money. Let's be clear. And because he's in business to make money, he will take that cost and pass it on to the consumer. Now, who's the consumer? Well, any American that buys German cheese. Okay, so the Germans, they might experience a drop in demand. That's possible. Like there's less German cheese that the Americans want to buy because it's too expensive now, right? And that might hurt the industry. But it's not money that the Germans are paying Donald Trump or America. This money that's being paid is paid by Americans. Okay, so whenever I hear this press secretary, anyone really saying, "Oh, it's a tax levied against another country," no, it's not. It's not. What they're doing, if Germany were to levy a tariff against an American good, then yes, it would be the German consumer that would have to pay that. Okay, so let's say the Germans want to buy an American car, and the Germans put a tariff of 10% on that. That 10% is not paid for by Americans; it's paid for by the Germans who want to buy the American car.
I think they'll figure it out pretty quickly.
See, Dave, I'm really exacerbates.
Yes,
it does because it is fundamental economics, and if you don't understand this, it's a very simple concept. And it's not my concept; it's just an economic concept, right? It really worries me. These tariffs are not paid for by. I see her face, the blonde girl, whatever her name is, Catherine, whatever. And she says, no, it's a tax levied against other countries.
Yeah,
no, it is
her
not.
name's Levitt, yeah.
It is levied against the American consumer that want to buy foreign goods. Now, if you want to shut that down, okay, but say it. Okay, don't lie. And it's not even a lie. It's just a complete fabrication. And I wonder if they really don't understand it. That's what I find the most worrying. Do they really not understand it? Yeah, it's insane.
It is a really good question. What it would reduce is demand for the product overall, because it becomes more expensive and less desired, and that's just how it would go. Yeah. Yeah,
but look, what it does though.
I can't keep buying expensive cheese, Becky, if I can't afford it.
Well, that's it. But the thing is this, and what happened? And look, it might lead to a drop in sales of German cheese, sure enough. But what the Germans are doing, and what the French, Canadians, and British already are doing, and what the Australians are going to do as well, because we just went through this with China.
That's right.
So China and Australia had quite a bit of a tiff. I mean, it was quite serious. And the Chinese said, yeah, you know what, no lobster, no wine, and a few other things.
We're not buying yeast, any of that anymore, that's right. The tariffs
even yeast, they hit us with. And it hit the lobster industry hard. Now, the lobster industry is not the backbone of the Australian economy, right? But the lobster producers were hit really hard by it. Because one of the biggest consumers of lobsters are the Chinese, especially during Chinese New Year. So it hit us, or the lobster industry, right? So there you are then, right? And so we look for other trading partners actively now. Everybody is. The Canadians, the French, and the British are looking at trade agreements, okay? The Germans are looking elsewhere. And look, is America the biggest economy at this point? Yes, it is. Why? Because of its military-industrial complex. That's why it's the biggest economy, because its debt is through the roof. The only reason America is such a big economy is because of the debt it carries. Okay, very few things are made in America anymore. It's just, it's just how it is. I mean, weapons are made there. That's a huge one. But you know what? If NATO looks at America now, and other allies too, they look at America, well, I can't really trust you anymore. So I will get my weapon system from someone else. Or I make my own weapon system. That's what Israel did. Israel had no help from anyone when it was first established. Israel was on its own. People forget this. Both Russia and the US were courting Egypt. Egypt was the greatest military power in the 50s and 60s in the Middle East, by far. So both the Russians and the Americans were trying to get Egypt into their camp. That changed after the Israelis defeated Egypt and all the other Arab states in the Six-Day War. Right? Completely changed the landscape. But before that, the Israelis had to make their own stuff. Uzis are Israeli-made. All the weaponry, all the systems, the vehicles, the tanks, everything was Israeli-made. They stole the nuclear secrets from America, if you remember this. They actually stole the nuclear secrets. People don't remember this. But what you end up with is people will go, well, America, I can't really trust you anymore. I can't really rely on you. I mean, right now the UK has a submarine fleet with nuclear weapons on board, and they rely heavily on American tech and American maintenance. But they now have to look at that and go, well, you know what? I really have to get away from that, and I'll probably just get into bed with the French, because the French have their own stuff. And the French are really angry with the Australians because
we reneged on the deal.
Yeah, we double backed, and now we have egg on our face because we'll never get those American submarines ever, and we just gave them $800 million. Yeah,
that's right.
Stupid.
And it's like they went over there with a check, hoping to have no tariffs, and then, well, there's the tariffs. Thanks for the check. And they go, what check?
Yeah, but you know what exactly? Do you know what this is like? Let's say you get bullied in school, right? And this bully goes, I'll tell you what, I'll leave you alone if you give me lunch money every day. Oh, that's a good deal. Yeah, I'll do that. And the bully leaves you alone. Let's call this the AUKUS Pact. Yeah, that's a good idea. So I won't hit you, and I tell you what, if someone hits you, I'll come and help you. Okay, great. But lunch money every day. Yeah, okay, done. Now what we're doing, or what we just did, is that kid then, when it comes to Christmas comes around and all the presents are there, the kid goes, oh, these are wonderful presents. That kid, which is Australia, then goes to the bully on Christmas morning and gives him all his presents, right? All the presents he received, he now gives to the bully, because clearly that's a sensible thing to do, right? That's what we just did. Okay, not just are we content with paying whatever we are paying, now we're going to give him some more. Here, have some more. For something we will never receive. So for our security and other things, we have to look somewhere else. And the people that are most, what's the best word, happy about this? Yeah, I think happy is a good word. Of course, Russia and China. They're thinking this is fantastic. 80 years of diplomacy and friendships and relationships and treaty building and security agreements.
Can I say that? Can I say what's happened to it?
Go.
All down the toilet.
Down the toilet. 80 years.
Yeah, that was the gentleman's club of diplomacy. That's what I saw it used to be. You're right, Becky. But I even think that AUKUS is in question itself, like the whole agreement between the countries, and that not only is the likelihood of us not getting the submarines or the jet fighters or whatever else we've bought, because we don't hear of all the deals, but if Australia, in the isolationists' American new world that we're walking into right now, or driving really fast with a blackout windscreen, whatever's happening, I raised the question today with a friend of mine. I said, would America come to Australia's aid if we began to be invaded?
Not a chance.
I'm going to say no.
Not a chance.
I know there's
Why?
a long-standing agreement, but weren't all the other things long-standing agreements?
The only thing the Americans would secure would be Pine Gap. That's it.
That's right.
Completely uninterested in everything else. Oh, Australia's being invaded. Well, that's too bad.
Too bad for them.
Because there are 26 million people in Australia, and the landmass roughly the size of North America, or the United States, I should say. And the population of Greater New York is 26 million. So, would you risk New York for Australia? No, you wouldn't. And once this breaks down, this kind of security relationship, that's it. It's done. Right? The first time you don't come to help, that's it. That's all it takes.
That's right.
And we've seen this now with Ukraine, where Trump, be it part of a negotiation tactic or whatever, I don't care what happened there, he withheld intelligence and aid until he got what he wanted. That's not how partners treat each other.
No.
And again, I have to say this because it is painfully obvious. Donald Trump doesn't understand world politics. He understands deals, in his world anyway, but he doesn't understand the fabric of global politics. He really doesn't. He thinks, America is so powerful, this and that. Well, America is powerful because it managed to create a sphere of influence, right, around the globe. And a lot of people are looking to America for certain things. But you know what? When you take that away, the things that make America America, why would I ever come to America again? Why would I wouldn't. It makes no sense at all for me to come to America and do anything with them, because they've shown me they don't want anything to do with me. They don't want to help me. They don't respect the friendships that we have. And let's be clear. He negotiated the North American treaty that replaced NAFTA. I forget the name now. He negotiated it, and he goes, "Oh, that's a terrible country. That's a terrible treaty." You negotiated it. You did in your term. It's terrible. I don't know who did that. That's dreadful. That's what he said. Like, what? It was like in Bizarro World, Dave. That's what I felt like. I'm in Bizarro World.
I told you I worked for a CEO just like it.
Yeah, it's nuts. But look, it really is. It's a worrisome. Look, we'll see. And you know what the funny thing is, Dave? Because I want to put a little bit.
Please.
You know what the funny thing is?
What's that?
He put tariffs on I guess countries, kind of countries, not really countries, with no human population. Only Eskimos. Not Eskimos, penguins. So a 10% tariff was levied against. It's a territory in I think it's in Antarctica, which doesn't have any human habitation, and that also is now enjoying a 10% tariff. I'm not sure what the penguins are exporting to the States.
Oh, you watch out! Have you seen an angry penguin?
Oh, brother, I'm terrified.
It could be an alien base.
Clearly, Dave, that's exactly what
That's what it was.
That's what happened. But it's insanity. He said, you know what he said to? I know exactly what happened because that's how corporations work, and I've been in corporations all my life. This is what happened. He said to his underlings, Bob, I need you to print me a list of all the countries. Yeah, okay, yes, boss. And territories and anything like that. Yeah, we'll do, boss. And then that's exactly what he got. And now he's levying a tariff against every single entity on that list, even if there's no human population.
There doesn't need to be humans on it.
It's gold.
Doing?
I mean,
that's right.
You can't make that up, Dave. You can't make it up.
No, you can't. You absolutely can't.
And you go, what? No, please tell me it isn't so. But yes, it is so. Absolutely, it is so.
So what I'm waiting for is the pivot. So the decisions are made. How long is it going to be? If I was a betting guy, which I'm not, but if I was, or a bookie, if I had an inkling that I wanted to be a bookie, I would put some. How many to one? I wonder what it would be. That that he doesn't pivot. You know those belligerent choices that some CEOs make. You don't have to comment, Mackie, but you know I'm sure you've read about them, where they make a decision and it completely destructs. It self-destructs the company. They end up with nothing, and it's all because they refuse to back down from their stupid decision.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
So without naming names or knowing anything about anything, is he likely to back out of one of his? I mean, he could say, I don't know who put those tariffs in. Who did that? Oh, it's a stupid idea. We're going to, quietly negotiate them all back to zero again because our economy's gone into a depression. Because you can't, when you look at this is discounted reciprocal tariff. There's a board, and it's about half. It's about half price from what they were saying. That gives a wiggle room to increase it or decrease it, I suppose. But if you're saying that everything from Japan is now going to have a 24% increase in cost, who can afford it? This is the problem. I know it sounds great, and when Levitt says it, all of the media in the room don't ask a follow-up question at all. Not even once.
Because
they ask a follow-up question.
They kick him out. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I watched one from yesterday, and they had now a YouTube an influencer, blah blah blah, is here, and that person got to ask like a whole list of questions. Now if I was a doubting Thomas, I would suggest that was a list that Levitt gave him to read out as questions, because she had an answer. She was firing. She was like George Costanza spotting raccoons.
Nice.
Right? See what I did? But it seemed to suit her stock. So he was buying everything, or he was requesting everything she had. So I don't know. I really don't know. We're going to have to see what happens. We got a low tariff compared to everyone else. Maybe ours was higher, and the $800 million deal kind of bought us a couple of percent. I don't know. We don't know what happens in the background. But if you think about this, still steel and aluminium have a tariff on them, and that could be detrimental to our own business. But if we find other companies to sell this stuff to, it just means America gets less of it. That's it.
Well, the thing is this. For us, it's a couple of percent. So America is not a great customer of ours when it comes to steel and aluminium. Canada would be hurt by it quite badly.
Yeah, right.
If they didn't buy it anymore. But remember, Canada is not paying extra for it. You are. In America.
Yeah, that's
the Americans
true.
are paying extra for it. And again, I want to repeat this because I've said it before and I keep saying it until I'm blue in the face. America doesn't make enough of its own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. Okay, so they have to import stuff. You can't just overnight decide, I will make everything myself. No, you're not. It takes a long time to build up productive capacity. I thought you were doing an affirmation
then, Mickey.
Sorry?
Affirmations.
Oh, brother. It's insanity. It really is.
I heard... Sorry about it. Sorry, keep going.
No, that's it.
Oh, okay. Because I heard an economist talking today who said that none of these tariffs affect any globalist companies, because they can buy it in whatever country they want and ship it internally.
Not true.
Well, that's what that's what the economist was talking about, that these only hurt the frontline people and not the globalist companies.
So the global economies are not hurt, correct. However, import, export, and such are governed fairly tightly around the world because of, security is one of them. And you can't internally transfer stuff like that. We tried to do that, my company that is. It doesn't work. especially when it comes to technology, because there are massive restrictions around this. You must have an importer-exporter of record. You can't move goods around that don't have a bill of lading, that don't have the proper paperwork. Internal transfer only works with one entity. You know who that is?
Humans.
No.
Oh.
Sorry. This is
Poop?
This is diplomatic mail.
Ah,
the only thing
right.
that you can ship in this fashion is diplomatic mail. That's it. There's nothing else you can ship that way.
Sorry, I've got a Simpson-esque vision in my head. There's a whole ship filled with containers, and it's all got aluminium, and it's all going from Australia to it's got Coca-Cola written on everything, and it's going to the US. And they go, "Is that diplomatic mail?" And they go, "Yes."
Yes. Why?
Why do you ask? Oh, no reason. Oh, you said it's diplomatic mail, so it's fine.
Yeah, but that's unfortunately, where we are, and this is the world we live in. So you can love it or hate it, but there are realities you have to deal with, right? Now, I mean, not that Trump cares much about the realities. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
What I fear, though, is this. America was, for the longest time, a stable nation, like a bedrock, if you will, right? You could turn to. I mean, it was rational, and people liked it. It's good. It's prosperous. It's not very exciting. It's boring, but you can prosper in that kind of environment. And
I really liked them then.
Yeah, I know, right? I really liked them then. But that's sort of by the by now, and what will happen? Because this is not going to help America in any way. And when I say America, I'm really talking about the American people. Whenever I say America, I mean the American people. I don't mean the rich. I don't mean the parasites. I'm talking about the American people. Because America is not a country. America is a people. Much like Odin said about the Asgardians, which is true. Mm-hmm. It's true. America is a people. It's an idea as well, right? And none of this is helping the American people. It'll help the rich, right? To get richer, certainly. To get more control. Because if you're poor and you have no choices, guess what? You have to do what people tell you. And that's where we are rapidly moving towards.
And
right?
I'm seeing managed decline, Mickey.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And again, Dave and I, we talked about this at length, the Great Reset. We were truly wondering, because I couldn't see it at all. Because Dave and our generation, Gen X, right? Gen X is, we worked hard our lives. We have, and I've been in business for a long time. Dave has worked all hard his life, and we're just not going to give up our stuff. We would never give up our stuff. I mean, look, stuff isn't all that important, but
I'm getting closer to giving it up, though.
I know, but see, but that's what happens. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so I worked hard for it, so it's mine. I don't want to keep it. I want to have for my kids and whatever.
That's right.
And but see, but I did wonder. I mean, how would it happen? What could happen now that I'm seeing Donald Trump's policy?
How could it possibly even happen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is now so fast, Dave. Mm-hmm. The development of creating this massive underclass, even bigger than it is now in America, of people that will have nothing.
That's
and
right.
less than nothing. Because, again, who is paying for tariffs? The American people will pay for it.
Right.
If you want to buy those goods. I mean, or these people, the Germans and the French and whoever, they will take their stuff elsewhere. And do you know who makes affordable stuff? The Chinese.
That's right.
Why? Because their labor is cheap. Why? Because they have no labor laws. Well, that's not entirely true. But the point is this. Look at any of the things in your house. If you're in America, or anywhere really in the world, look at anything in your house and see where it's made. I guarantee you that 90% of the things you use every day were made in China, unless you're a rich parasite, in which case that's probably not true. 90% would have been made in China, and the rest would have been made somewhere else, and very few things would have been made in America. Very few things. As soon as you step those tariffs on, see these everyday consumer goods, these everyday things, right, that you need, I don't know, soap, or a spatula, or cook pot, or, things like that, right, or flip-flops. All of those things are all of a sudden a lot more expensive for you, the normal American consumer. China is not going to pay any of the penalties.
That's right.
They're going to make it, whatever they're making, and then it's up to you if you want to buy it. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. Fine. China's going to find another market because China's stuff is good and cheap. They will always find stuff. They will always find a market for their stuff. And they have got the manufacturing infrastructure. They set it up over the last 40, 50 years. They did, because you let them. Not only did you... No, in fact, you didn't. And I'm talking about America now, American corporations. Not only... You actually made it that way, America, in pursuit of never-ending profits. You made it that way.
You tried to go in there, and they said, no, good luck with that.
Yeah. And Donald Trump, and I repeat myself here, I know, but Donald Trump is not that kind of businessman. Mm-hmm. He doesn't understand this kind of business. It's not the Germans or the Chinese that created their manufacturing prowess. It was the Americans that created it. Germany and Japan through the Marshall Plan. China, India, even South America, other Southeast Asian countries. Those were the global corporations, the Apples, the Microsofts of the world, the HPs, the Dells. They created the IBMs. They created these, certainly in China, this behemoth of manufacturing. It was the Americans. Okay? Oh, Fleddy. Maybe Trump is modeling his presidency after the Joker and Batman. Maybe he is. Maybe he is. But it's insanity. But look, it's common. All the things I've just said are all completely common sense. There's nothing outlandish. There's nothing conspiratorial. This is probably the most normal show we've ever had, Dave. Okay, where there's no strange concept here that we have to explain. This is all just normal stuff that people should have learned in high school, right? Even if you only did one day of economics, you should understand this. But it is clear that the administration, the current administration, has no idea about any of this. And I think in Donald Trump's mind, he really wants America to be making things again, like in his childhood, maybe, or in the 40s and 50s, or or even the 19th century, when America was actually doing really well. America was a fairly autonomous economy, but it did well before it decided to become global corp. It did well economically. but now, no, we're not doing that anymore. We are now, we're going back to the olden days. Excuse me. And I find this ludicrous to the highest degree. But then again, do you know what Pete Hegseth did before he became what was it, defense minister, whatever he is, defense secretary?
No.
He was a Fox News host.
Oh no, yeah, I know that one. I know Hegseth.
And there are a lot of billionaires in Donald's circle in the administration.
Of course,
his billionaire buddies. Witkoff is one, and there are a lot of Fox News personalities. See, I think Trump chose his administration based on optical criteria. Mm-hmm. If you're attractive, if you're a good-looking person, then you can be part of my administration, because that's what we like. We like good-looking people. And I'm not even joking about this, because I look at his administration. I look at what these people used to do for a living. And I'm completely flabbergasted how these people were even appointed to the position that they hold. How did it even happen? How on earth did you manage to become that? The education secretary, right? She's the wife of the owner of the Pro Wrestling Federation, or the former owner, I should say. It's nuts. How's that even normal? I don't know, Dave. I don't know.
Well, look, the 1974 or 1975 Lima Agreement, it began the globe. It was the birthplace of the what we know today as the globalists. They're trying to uplift the other countries and allowing people to exploit other countries for profit. Now, I don't think this is the end of it. We're kind of like in the awkward teen thing now, where one of them has closed their door and not talking to anyone. It's very strange.
I agree.
And I know. Hey, good morning, Mario, by the way, if you're listening to Studio A, there in the chat room. I don't know. I really don't know what we're going to see. I hope we don't see more of a collapse of the stock market. And I'm just going to put the warning up. I am not an economist, and you can read the thing yourself. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want everyone to lose everything they have in, you call it in 401ks in America, over here a superannuation. I don't want to see the loss. But, in a managed decline, you just basically thieve from everybody, control them down so they're at their weakest point, and then you get to offer them a choice. Neo says it's all about choice. But the choice is simple. You take your universal basic income, those of us still alive, and live like happy little Vegemites.
Happy little Vegemites.
That's where we just say yes to whatever the government says. They're already talking about another pandemic. They're already talking about more lockdowns. The amount of chickens that have been killed in this country because one chicken sneezed, so we have to wipe out 80,000 at one farm. And now we're in an egg crisis. The egg crisis isn't only here. I know the US has an egg crisis as well for the same reason. This bird flu thing is just nuts.
But it's not actually a crisis. So let's be clear here. Supermarkets, yes, they have restrictions like Woolworths and whatever. But if you buy your eggs at a greengrocer, there are no restrictions, because the smaller producers, where I get my eggs, they're still making eggs because they were never affected by this. It's only when you have these massive breeding facilities, which are completely unnatural and whatever, right? That's when you get affected by these diseases.
So on the Central Coast, you can buy eggs to your heart's content. We can get a 36 or a 48 tray. Yeah, and it's reasonably inexpensive. And yes, it's only from a couple of k's away. Because remember when the fires came through, some of those chicken facilities, let's call them facilities, to be nice. Well, we'll be in human facilities soon, but the chicken facility is just not far from me. We are within 10 kilometres. And they supply all the local stores around here. Not the big ones, not the Coles, not the Woolworths, not the Aldi or the IGAs, whoever. They only support at their local shops. And it's pretty good. And you can still go for a drive, Meki, up there into Mangrove Mountain. And just, on the side of the road, people are selling their fruit and their eggs and honey. It's really good.
You can.
Yeah.
That's how, but see, that's how, I know I'm preaching now, but that's how society should work. What we've done over the last, and certainly 50 years, is completely unnatural state of existence. Completely unnatural. We have created a Franken world, right, where we can have cherries in the middle of winter, which
that's right.
And that's not normal. You shouldn't do that. You should eat whatever is where you are, right? You should eat in season. It's better for you in many ways. And you shouldn't have a chicken that grows to maturity in 2 weeks. A chicken should be allowed to grow to maturity in whatever time it takes,
Yeah.
But because we are driven to insanity by the profit motive, we can't help ourselves, Dave. The most insane thing that I've ever come across to make a buck, 2 things. One, in China, they were counterfeiting eggs. Now, I don't know what kind of margin you have in counterfeiting eggs, but I mean, this is a product.
I'd say the margin's pretty tight with a regular egg.
Clearly, but I'm thinking, there's a chicken that lays an egg. That's your investment. I mean, there's not much else you have to do, really. I mean, yes, sure, there's other things you have to do, but why would you counterfeit eggs? The other one, this is one that I found hilarious in many ways. In India, they found that farmers would spray paint their vegetables because they look better if you take them to market when they're spray painted. And you go, no, that's not true. That's true. That's absolutely true. They spray painted them so they look more appealing to the end consumer. Not really good for you to eat, but that's a whole different problem.
Did you know that's a line in the song by Beck called Loser?
Really?
Yeah, spray paint the vegetables.
Well, it happened.
Hang on. Here we go. So, in the time of chimpanzees, I was a monkey. Butane in my veins and I'm out to kill the junkie with the plastic eyeballs. Spray paint the vegetables. Dog food skulls and the beefcake pantyhose. Wow. Spray paint the vegetables. It's in Beck. That's crazy. I knew the lyric was in there. But
nice.
I know that there's countries that spray paint their sheep. I know I've seen, fake rice and fake noodles. Why you would do that, it's beyond me. I just don't understand. I really don't understand.
Clearly, there must be money in it. If there wasn't any... See, whenever I don't understand something, the answer is there has to be money in it.
That's right.
That's it. That's the answer. I don't know how, or I don't understand the mechanism, but it doesn't matter. Because I'm convinced that there's money in it. Because there's no way anyone would do this otherwise. Mm-hmm. Right? It's a crazy thing, Dave. It really is. I don't know what to say to that anymore. You look at it and you go, this is where we are. This is now where we are. We have come to the point where we do all these things in the name of profit. And of course the answer is yes, Mackie, that's exactly where we are. This is what we do in the name of profit. And we are a sick society, very sick. And I don't know if we're going to get better, Dave.
Yes, I don't think we are. I think this is just managed decline. Yeah. The heyday of flying around the world, enjoying everything with, we're seeing such a small percentage of flights today than what we had in our heyday. Yeah. My mum worked for Qantas and I was born into the land of international travel. You never considered it. You never considered it was a difficult thing. Or when I think we're seeing a bunch of, as far as I heard someone say, I watch Air Crash Investigators the other day, and I was thinking to myself, the maintenance that we thought we needed to do per flight hour was not accurate. When a plane sits, it needs more maintenance than the amount of flight hours it would have undertaken. Mm-hmm. When it's busy, there's fuels and oils lubricating all the rubber parts as they do, keeping them fresh. When they sit and there's no lubrication on them, they dry up. You get, let's call it, you have problems. And I know I was on an aircraft that had a problem. So this was post-COVID. I'm thinking we're seeing so many more aviation issues than we've ever seen in the history of aviation.
That's actually
There's
true.
More incidences. I don't want to say all the wrong words right now. And it's really scaring me away from wanting to fly anywhere anymore. I know there's thousands of aircraft in the air every minute of every day. That's great. Good for them. Good for them. I wouldn't mind driving somewhere, even though the likelihood of a car crash is still high. But the car was the segue, and I just pulled up a story here, and I know we've got 2 minutes. It says popular car brands could pull models lift prices as Trump tariffs collide with emissions laws, because they've just said that in Australia that Peter Dutton is interested in lifting some of the emissions controls.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, we're coming up on an election in a couple of weeks' time, and there is no direct policies coming out yet. I'm waiting to see. It's all fluff. It's like billboard fluff. You see them smiling faces and holding babies kind of stuff going on. And it worries me. I don't think it's going to matter who you vote for anymore. I think we're in that managed decline, and they're all going to do the same thing.
Probably.
It's only to benefit themselves. And it's a big call. And I really feel sorry for the people who went into politics with an idealistic view of making the world a better place.
Yeah, bad time to be alive for you.
And what happens? I just see a decline. Every time there's an election, there's a decline, and there's more decline. I haven't seen a boom era for a very long time.
You know what precedes a boom era?
A depression.
Yeah, catastrophe. Absolutely.
That's right.
So be careful what you ask for. Alrighty, there's the music. Hey, thank you so much for spending your morning, evening, afternoon with us, wherever you might be. Donate if you can, like we said, and don't go anywhere. Something is going to come up, we're sure. This is Revolution Radio. This has been Plato's Cave. And Dave.
Be safe, everyone. Do like, share, subscribe, and follow us, please.
Too late.